Stop for just a second, because what I'm about to reveal will shatter every belief you hold about kindness and survival. Have you ever wondered why the nicest individuals rarely finish first? Why the people who give endlessly often feel empty and exploited? Why your constant generosity somehow invites disrespect instead of loyalty? If any of this resonates, you're caught in a dangerous illusion that's been fed to you since childhood. The most catastrophic error anyone can make is assuming that virtue equals protection. Here's the harsh reality nobody wants to admit. Unchecked kindness acts like acid. It corrodes your boundaries, your ambitions, your self-respect, everything you've worked to build. Niccolo Machiavelli understood this centuries ago. He observed compassionate rulers overthrown. He watched generous souls betrayed by the very people they elevated. He documented it all in chilling detail. Today, I'll expose his forbidden insight, the hidden price of goodness that modern society refuses to acknowledge. Over the next several minutes, you'll discover exactly why your virtue is being weaponized against you, why others don't honor your compassion but instead manipulate it, and crucially, how to transform goodness from a fatal flaw into an unstoppable advantage. Let me clarify something up front. I'm not advocating cruelty. I'm not suggesting you harm anyone. What I am revealing is how to practice goodness with intention, not naivety. Because in a jungle filled with predators, playing the prey guarantees your destruction. Right now, drop this declaration in the comments. I embrace intentional virtue. Starting today, everything shifts. You'll no longer scatter kindness recklessly. You'll deploy it with precision. In this exploration, we'll unpack why virtue frequently fails to shield you. In fact, it often ruins you, and we'll identify exactly how to convert it into genuine influence. Let's dive into the first unsettling reality. Number 1. Goodness as vulnerability. Picture the most giving individual in your circle. Now ask yourself, are they genuinely respected, or are they simply the person everyone exploits when convenient? The uncomfortable truth is this: constant kindness makes you a target, not a fortress. When you're reliably accommodating, people label you predictable. They realize you won't retaliate. They know refusal isn't in your vocabulary. They understand they can manipulate you because you're too pleasant to resist. You morph into the colleague who handles everyone's overflow, the friend who perpetually covers the bill, the relative who never declines a favor, even when it damages you. Let me share a story. I once knew a department head, the most supportive leader imaginable. He constantly advocated for his staff, shielded them from criticism, prioritized their well-being above his own. What happened? Management promoted someone else. Why? Because agreeable people don't project authority. They project servitude. Others don't treasure your kindness. They mine it for advantage. Consider this. When someone is perpetually accessible, their assistance loses value. When someone never enforces limits, boundaries get trampled repeatedly. When someone never reveals their edge, people assume they're harmless. Your virtue becomes your Achilles heel because it broadcasts to everyone that you're exploitable. Your kindness becomes weakness when it signals availability for exploitation. Machiavelli famously wrote, "The lion cannot protect himself from traps, and the fox cannot defend himself from wolves. One must therefore be a fox to recognize traps and a lion to frighten wolves." You've been attempting to navigate as prey in a predator's domain, and that's precisely why you keep suffering. Drop this affirmation below: I safeguard my energy. Number 2, the dependency spiral. Here's something that will completely shift your perspective. The more you offer, the less people value it. I realize that defies logic, but stay with me. Generosity generates immediate praise. People applaud. They share glowing testimonials. They broadcast your selflessness. It feels incredible, doesn't it? But over time, something insidious occurs. Your giving cultivates dependency, entitlement, and ultimately resentment. Let me break down the mechanism. When you assist someone initially, they're grateful. When you help them a second time, they're appreciative. But when you assist them repeatedly, 10, 15, 20 times, they begin expecting it. Your extraordinary benevolence becomes their baseline, and if you ever withdraw support, they don't recall the 19 times you agreed. They fixate on the single time you declined. Suddenly, you're labeled selfish. You're cast as the antagonist. Think about parents who constantly indulge their children's demands. Initially, the kids are thrilled and thankful. Soon, those gifts become routine. The latest device isn't remarkable anymore, it's just standard procedure. And if the parents ever refuse, the children respond with anger and accusations of unfairness. Identical dynamics appear in friendships. You consistently handle the check. You always provide transportation. You perpetually assist with relocations. Initially, appreciation flows freely, but eventually gratitude evaporates. They simply assume you'll manage everything. And when you finally need reciprocity, they're mysteriously unavailable. This is the dependency spiral. You contribute until giving defines your identity. And the instant you need to receive, or simply pause giving, you become the villain in their narrative. Your relentless generosity doesn't forge loyalty, it breeds addiction. People develop dependency on your contributions, and like any addict, they react with hostility when their supply disappears. The psychological mechanism behind this: humans experience hedonic adaptation. We acclimate to positive conditions rapidly. What once felt exceptional becomes ordinary. What once felt generous becomes expected. Consequently, your repeated acts of kindness actually diminish in impact over time. They become invisible background noise. People stop noticing them because they're ubiquitous. But your single act of refusal, that registers like an alarm. That's what they remember. That's what they fixate on. That's what generates complaints. This pattern pervades everything. At work, if you consistently stay overtime, extended hours become your default. Nobody celebrates it anymore. But leave punctually once and suddenly you're uncommitted. In relationships, if you always compromise, compromise becomes expected. But advocate for yourself once and you're being obstinate. Machiavelli observed. Benefits ought to be conferred gradually, and in that way they will taste better. The man grasps something most never learn. Scarcity creates appreciation. Abundance destroys it. Drop this affirmation: I give with strategy. Number 3, the performance of righteousness. Here's a reality that might unsettle you. Society values presentation over authenticity. People don't care whether you're genuinely virtuous. They care whether you appear virtuous. They don't evaluate your character. They evaluate your optics. This means that maintaining influence and respect requires wearing the facade of goodness while retaining control underneath. Examine the most accomplished individuals you know. Did they ascend by being authentically kind to everyone? Absolutely not. They ascended by being strategic about when, how, and toward whom they display virtue. They smile publicly and make difficult choices privately. They demonstrate mercy when it serves their interests and display strength when necessary. They grasp that the appearance of virtue carries more weight than virtue itself. This isn't about dishonesty. This is about intelligence. Consider it this way. A surgeon might need to incise your body to preserve your life. Is the surgeon being cruel? Not at all. The surgeon is executing what's necessary, even if it causes temporary discomfort. Authentic leaders understand that sometimes being truly virtuous means appearing temporarily harsh. Sometimes helping someone requires refusing them. Sometimes protecting your team demands unpopular choices. The performance of righteousness isn't about deception, it's about timing. It's knowing when to reveal your compassion and when to reveal your steel. Most people invert this completely. They expose their vulnerability to adversaries and their strength to allies. Intelligent people reverse it. Machiavelli stated, "Everyone sees what you appear to be. Few experience what you really are." He recognized that perception constructs reality. If people perceive weakness, you become weak. If they perceive strength, you become strong. Drop this affirmation, I master my presentation. Number 4, the resource equation. Every single action carries a cost. Every favor granted. Every time you agree when you want to refuse. Every moment spent serving others instead of advancing yourself. Most virtuous people never calculate this. They give continuously until they're depleted. Then they're bewildered by their exhaustion, bitterness, and exploitation. Here's the fundamental truth. Your time, energy, and resources are finite. When you expend them on others, you possess less for yourself. Acknowledging this isn't selfish, it's mathematical. Boundless kindness depletes your reserves, and when you're depleted, you can't assist anyone, including yourself. Consider airplane safety protocols. They instruct you to secure your oxygen mask first, then help others. Why? Because if you lose consciousness while assisting someone first, now 2 people require rescue instead of 1. Life operates identically. If you exhaust yourself helping others, you transform into someone requiring help. Now you're a liability instead of an asset. Intelligent people recognize that survival and flourishing require guarding resources and energy carefully. This doesn't make you cruel, it makes you sustainable. I discovered this lesson through painful experience. For years, I accepted every request, every favor, every project, every quick question that consumed hours. I believed I was being virtuous, but what transpired? I developed resentment. I felt angry and bitter. My personal projects suffered. My aspirations got postponed. And ironically, I became less capable of helping those who genuinely needed it. That's when I realized something critical. Agreeing to everyone means refusing yourself. And when you abandon yourself, you eventually abandon everyone else too. The most impactful people throughout history weren't those who accepted everything. They were those who declined most things so they could accept the right things powerfully. Saying yes to everyone means saying no to yourself forever. Machiavelli declared, "He who wishes to be obeyed must know how to command." You cannot command others if you cannot command your own time, energy, and resources. You cannot lead others if you cannot lead yourself. Drop this affirmation, I protect my reserves. Number 5, weaponized compassion. I'm not instructing you to become heartless. I'm not suggesting mercy, honesty, and generosity should be discarded. What I'm declaring is this: these virtues must be deployed like instruments, precisely, at optimal moments for maximum impact. A blade sitting idle protects nobody, but a blade wielded skillfully at the critical instant can defend a kingdom. Your goodness should function identically. When you help someone, it should be deliberate. When you show mercy, it should be strategic. When you're generous, it should create the outcome you intend. Let me illustrate. Instead of helping everyone minimally, help the right people substantially. Instead of being pleasant to everyone, be exceptionally kind to those who matter. Instead of agreeing to everything, agree powerfully to things aligned with your objectives. This approach accomplishes 3 things. First, your help becomes more valuable because it's selective. Second, you actually create larger positive impacts because you're focused. Third, people respect you more because you're discriminating. Consider the most respected leaders throughout history. Martin Luther King Jr. wasn't gentle with injustice. He confronted it powerfully. Mother Teresa didn't help everyone globally. She focused intensely on the most destitute. They were all virtuous people, but they were strategically virtuous. They used their compassion as a tool to create transformation, not as a mechanism to gain universal approval. How do you implement this practically? Before accepting any request, ask yourself 3 questions. Does this align with my values and objectives? Can I do this without depleting myself? Will this person appreciate and respect what I'm doing? If the answer to any is negative, you don't simply refuse. You refuse kindly but firmly. When you do agree, you commit fully. You deliver your best effort. You create genuine value. You make meaningful impact. This way, your agreements matter. Your help is remembered. Your generosity creates loyalty instead of entitlement. Machiavelli wrote, The promise given was a necessity of the past. The word broken is a necessity of the present. What he meant: sometimes keeping your commitment to one person means breaking your commitment to another. Sometimes being virtuous to your family means being firm with colleagues. Sometimes protecting your dreams means disappointing people who want to consume your time. Strategic virtue isn't about selfishness, it's about effectiveness. Drop this affirmation: I choose purposeful kindness. Number 6, the gratitude myth. Here's something that will transform how you understand human nature forever. Gratitude is fleeting. I realize this might sting, but it's truth. The favors you perform, the assistance you provide, the sacrifices you make, they have expiration dates in people's memories. Repeated favors stop feeling like gifts and transform into expectations. What begins as "thank you so much" becomes "you should do this" becomes "why didn't you do this?" You help your neighbor relocate. They're incredibly grateful. You help them relocate again 6 months later, still thankful but less enthusiastic. You help them a third time. Now they simply expect it. The fourth time they need to move, they don't even ask. They just assume you'll help. And if you can't, suddenly you're the villain. This is human psychology. We adapt to favorable treatment. We take it for granted. We begin perceiving exceptional kindness as normal treatment. Ultimately, people remember the advantage they extracted from you, not the compassion you demonstrated. This pattern repeats everywhere: relationships, workplaces, friendships, families. The person who always agrees becomes the person everyone expects to agree. The reliable helper becomes the automatic solution for every problem. And when that person finally establishes a boundary or refuses, they're treated as if they've committed betrayal. The more consistently kind you are, the less your kindness is valued. The more available you make yourself, the less special your availability becomes. The more you give without requesting anything in return, the more people assume your giving comes without personal cost. This is the gratitude myth. We believe that performing more good deeds will generate more appreciation. But actually, it generates less appreciation because people expect more good deeds. The people who appreciate you most are often those you help least frequently. The people who take you for granted are usually those you help most often. This doesn't mean people are malicious. It means people are human, and humans naturally adjust their expectations based on their experiences. Understanding this psychological reality doesn't mean you should stop being kind or helpful. It means you should be strategic about it. Set boundaries. Make your help conditional sometimes. Let people experience what it's like when you're not there to solve their problems. Machiavelli stated, "Men judge generally more by the eye than by the hand, for everyone can see and few can feel." People see what you're doing now more clearly than they remember what you did before. Your past kindness becomes invisible. Your current actions are what they judge you by. Drop this affirmation: I create enduring impact. Number 7, outcomes above intentions. The world judges results, not motives. You might possess the purest heart imaginable. Your intentions might be flawless. But if your actions don't create the results you desire, none of that matters. History doesn't remember people who meant well. It remembers people who accomplished things. Let me ask you something. Would you rather be remembered as someone who was incredibly nice but didn't achieve much, or someone who might have seemed demanding but actually improved the world? Most people select the first option because it feels safer. But here's what they don't realize. Being remembered as just nice means being forgotten entirely. You see, there's a brutal but undeniable truth. Sometimes being truly virtuous means doing things that don't look virtuous in the moment. Surface-level kindness often creates temporary comfort, while difficult decisions create lasting impact. A parent who disciplines their child isn't being harsh. They're being virtuous by teaching the child essential lessons. A teacher who gives challenging grades isn't being cruel. They're preparing students for reality. A boss who sets high standards isn't being unreasonable. They're helping their team grow stronger. Real goodness is about results, not appearances. It's about creating positive outcomes, not just positive feelings. This is where most virtuous people fail. They focus on being liked instead of being effective. They choose comfort over growth. They pick temporary peace over lasting positive transformation. But here's the truth. If you're not getting the results you want from your goodness, you're not being good enough. You're being nice, which is different. Nice people avoid conflict. Good people resolve conflict. Nice people tell people what they want to hear. Good people tell people what they need to hear. Nice people maintain the status quo. Good people create positive change. The world is full of nice people who accomplish nothing. What the world needs more of is good people who generate results. Machiavelli declared, "The end justifies the means." Now, this doesn't mean you should do evil things to achieve good outcomes. What it really means is that your good intentions don't matter if they don't create good results. People don't live inside your heart. They live with the consequences of your actions. So remember this, real goodness requires courage. It requires you to prioritize outcomes over appearances. It requires you to stop asking, "Will they like me?" and start asking, "Will this actually make things better?" At the end of the day, people won't remember your intentions. They'll remember what you built, what you changed, and what you left behind. Drop this affirmation, "I focus on results." Number 8, legacy and endurance. Let's discuss what truly matters, how you'll be remembered, and what you'll leave behind. History doesn't honor the merely good. It honors those who survived, endured, and transformed their outcomes into greatness. Think about this for a moment. Can you name 5 nice people from history? Probably not. But you can probably name 5 people who created lasting change, even if they weren't always pleasant to deal with. Steve Jobs wasn't known for being nice. He was demanding, perfectionist, and often difficult. But he created products that changed how billions of people live. I'm not saying you should be harsh to people. What I'm saying is that being remembered for making a difference is better than being forgotten for being agreeable. Here's what most people don't understand about legacy. You can't leave a positive mark on the world if you don't survive long enough to make one. And survival, in business, in relationships, in life, requires more than just being good. It requires being intelligent, strategic, and sometimes tough. The kindest people in the world can't help anyone if they get crushed by those who exploit them. The most generous people can't give anything if they give everything away too early. The most honest people can't speak truth if they get silenced by those who prefer lies. You have to survive first, then you can thrive, then you can create the legacy you desire. This means protecting yourself so you can protect others, building yourself up so you can lift others up, getting strong so you can help the weak. It's not selfish, it's strategic. It's not cruel, it's careful. It's not about abandoning goodness. It's about preserving it so it can actually make a difference. Look at the people who create lasting positive change in the world. They're not pushovers. They're not people pleasers. They're not afraid to refuse, set boundaries, and make difficult decisions. They understand that being good isn't about being weak. It's about being powerful enough to choose goodness when it matters most. Machiavelli stated, "It is better to be feared than loved if you cannot be both." What he really meant is this: respect matters more than affection. Impact matters more than popularity. Results matter more than feelings. You don't have to choose between being good and being strong. You can be both. You should be both. But if you have to choose strength first, because strength gives you the power to be good when it counts. Weakness just makes you a victim, even with the best intentions. We've covered extensive territory today, but let me leave you with the most important lesson of all. Goodness without strategy is the most dangerous trap you can fall into. It makes you vulnerable to those who would exploit you. It drains your resources until you have nothing left to give. It creates expectations you can't sustain, and ultimately it prevents you from creating the positive impact you really want to make. But goodness with strategy, that becomes a weapon of survival and influence. It becomes a tool for creating real change. It becomes the foundation for a life and legacy that actually matters. You now know the hidden price of blind goodness. You understand why generosity can trap you, why gratitude fades, and why good intentions without good results are worthless. More importantly, you know how to transform your goodness from a weakness into a strength, how to be kind strategically, how to help effectively, how to create outcomes that matter. Before you leave this video, I want you to make a decision. Are you going to keep being good in the old way, blindly, without boundaries until it destroys you? Or are you going to start being good in the new way, strategically, effectively, powerfully? So here's the real question, and this is what will determine your future. Will you let goodness weaken you, or will you master it and turn it into power? The choice is yours, but now you have the knowledge to choose wisely. If this video opened your eyes to something new, hit that like button. If you want more truth that challenges how you see the world, subscribe to Winds of Thought and ring the notification bell. And if you know someone who needs to hear this message, share this video with them. Your goodness is not your weakness. When used strategically, it becomes your greatest strength. Drop this final affirmation in the comments: I master strategic virtue. Remember, in a world full of wolves, don't be a sheep. Be a shepherd. Be someone who protects the flock, not through weakness, but through wisdom, strategy, and strength. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.